Okay, hit the record there. That's what I was saying. They're like, wait a minute, I didn't send you a link because I just assume you like know them psychically or something. I guess I don't know.
You've gotten used to work setting up our links for us.
Yeah, yeah, that might be it. It's can you turn up your mic like a touch?
If I knew how.
Oh, okay. Is this the first one you did you just put your new computer into action?
I think I've done them on my new computer before.
Okay.
Oh, it's not using my friend's one.
Ah.
What's that?
Oh, much better. Yeah, okay. Now you
Using
sound
my laptop
classy.
mic for some reason.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, that definitely fixes the game. Okay.
Yep.
I don't know. I guess we should just jump on in and do the thing because you probably have
Remind me of the
something.
year. I know it's the 80s.
84.
84. Okay.
Yeah.
In the year 1984, there's a gremlin on the wing, but not just the wing, they're everywhere.
Are there any wings in this movie? There's no wings in this movie.
No, but they talk about there being gremlins on the wings, which is where gremlins come from, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Because well, you're talking to the guy with the Twilight Zone podcast, so obviously I know about the Gremlins on the Wing and the Foo Fighters,
Yeah.
all
Wait,
that.
did
The
maybe
band,
there was a chicken wing? There was definitely drumsticks.
That's
chicken,
true.
spicy chicken wings. Those
Oh
are good.
God,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We
Paul
don't.
McCartney and wings.
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah. There's
The
that one
speed of
too.
sound.
But not so many wings in 1984's Gremlins. Hello, this is up. Hello, this is Matt.
Hello, this is Luke, and I finished taking my sip of coffee.
Yeah, I started saying it like right as you did that. This is the Sci-Fi Sanctuary. Um, I don't remember how and where and when and in what manner I first came across this film. Because in my memory, I guess I was that 5-year-old that Joe Dante said you should not take your child to see this movie. So I think we did see it in the theater, but at the same time, I think we had the little like the storybook plus vinyl thing, and maybe I had like a comic book adaptation. I feel like that's mostly how I got this movie in the 80s. And then I don't think I've watched it since the 80s.
I would have seen it on a videotape back in the 90s. So I think what would have happened is my mum would have shown it to me and thought, oh, I'm showing Luke something a bit naughty. It might be a bit too scary for him. Before she knew I'd been watching all the 18 rated Schwarzenegger films with my nan while she was at work.
So this was nothing because you we were
Yeah.
seeing like tracheas being ripped out by Schwarzenegger in the 80s.
But I've maybe I've seen it more recently than you because I do like to watch a lot of Christmas films in December.
Yeah.
So it would have been in once or twice. I would have watched it for that purpose.
This one notoriously came out in June, same weekend as Ghostbusters.
Wow.
That's kind of and it's those two movies on the same weekend. That's pretty
Yeah,
wild. I
man.
get I guess I'll ask our guest.
1984 was very 1984, wasn't it?
Yeah. Hi Andrew Shearer.
But
You're the guest. I forgot to introduce you because you're here all the time.
That's fine. That's fine. Hi.
I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
Terminator and Transformers also came out in 1984.
Yeah, the hell of a year for movies. So
Or just a year
and
for the 80s.
yeah, well it was a year in the 80s for sure. 82 also a whole lot of stuff. You know, you got Blade Runner and Conan the Barbarian, I believe, is that year. You got 82 has a quite a bit too. Tron, yeah. 82 to 84, that's the sweet spot. Andrew, how'd you first see this one?
Um, we saw Ghostbusters one night and Gremlins the next in the theater. My whole family.
Oh, okay. So
Yep.
Friday, which one was it was Ghostbusters first? You like specifically remember that?
Yeah. Yeah, because I was too scared to see both of them. I
Now,
was horrified. I was afraid of Ghostbusters because I'd seen the music video and there's like a zombie in it that's the cab driver, and I was like, hell no.
see
And I was
Gremlins,
overruled at that point.
I can't quite remember. I'm pretty sure I saw this in the theater, but I can't 100% remember. Um,
Point being, Gremlins was far more horrifying.
that's the thing.
I mean,
I know I watched Gremlins straight through the first time, but Ghostbusters, I think I actually did run out of the theater the first time when the librarian goes nuts.
I'm
And
pretty sure we were late and didn't even see that.
and then I had to like kind of re-challenge myself to see Ghostbusters a week or two later. Like we went again, I was like, okay, I'm gonna take it on this time. And then I loved Ghostbusters, but yeah, I did notoriously run out of the theater for that one when I was 5.
Yeah,
Because
the meltdown of Spike was what got me, not the microwave, which supposedly everybody freaked out, but you can't really see much of anything happen. Whereas the meltdown of Spike is just like, yeah, that really disturbed me.
It's funny. I always think of you as such a horror movie guy, Andrew.
Oh, I
So
was terrified of them.
anytime you mention that they actually used to scare you, it really amuses me.
Oh no, I was afraid if we want to just for a moment, I mean, I didn't start actively watching horror. I had to build my way up to it. Which let's be real, Gremlins is a horror movie. I first would read obsessively about them. I guess the equivalent now of the person who's too chicken but reads the wikis for everything, so they know everything. That's obsessively. I have some friends like that. But no, I was afraid of the Incredible Hulk, Lou Ferrigno, and Bill Bixby show. I was afraid of Kiss, the band Kiss, and their makeup. Yeah, I was afraid. I wasn't until maybe age 10 or 11, around the time when Matt and I became friends. That
Well,
I
yeah,
started
after you've
watching
met
horror.
Matt, nothing's scary, right?
No, no, I was like, wow, I've never known anyone, adult or child, that puts a comic under their arm when they go take a shit.
Sounds like a good idea. Yeah. Yeah,
No,
why
it's
That's
not?
like,
awesome. It's just I
yeah,
was a
that's
kid.
a power move. It's
Yeah.
Yeah.
like, you know what, everyone, I'm going to take a shit. I don't care if you know about it.
No, that
I,
was what he did. I remember that was one of the earliest memories I have of him. I'm like, and there he goes.
well, you want to focus on something, yeah.
There goes my hero.
Yeah, no, I don't know if I've ever shared that about him, but that was a impression. It wasn't gross to me or anything. I was like, this is a great idea.
It's a good idea. That's why it was done. Okay. No, I was blown before we had gotten like full on into portable gaming in our phones. I remember our other guest and mutual friend Mark being like, "Yeah, I take out people on Tetris when I take a shit." And I'm like, that's kind of awesome.
I've been playing Mario Kart online with my friends and needed to take a shit, so muted the computer that I'm talking to them on and just taken my Switch into the bathroom.
See, that's the real power move. You know, you win an
Yeah.
online tournament while shitting.
And that's
The only
there's no
thing more
segue from
shit than their racing is what just came out of my ass.
there's no segue from that into Ghostbusters, Gremlins. But yes, I saw them both in theaters.
Maybe I, like
Ooh, I watched this on my phone. Did I see part of this film yesterday while shitting? Very possibly.
okay. David Lynch will tell you didn't actually see the film. That's
That's
it.
true.
That's his
If you've
PSA,
seen it
right?
on a phone, yeah.
I think that's the only time I've heard David Lynch himself curse.
Hmm.
He's like, if you watched on your iPhone, you didn't see the fucking movie. And that's the only time I've heard David Lynch himself curse. I mean, his characters do. He writes in his scripts, but yeah, as far
Sure.
as the man himself, yeah, that was it.
Oh
But
no,
In
yeah,
my
because he didn't.
defense, it wasn't my first time seeing the film, so please don't hate me too much, David. I
yeah,
know you're a
yeah.
big listener. David Lynch, he came for the movies, he stayed for the poop jokes.
That's right. You know what a
Okay,
fucking love letter is?
I guess I'll go ahead and do a plot because maybe you're like me and you haven't actually watched Gremlins in a while because it is a movie so baked in. It almost feels like you don't really need to watch it. And we will talk about, at least I'll talk about a few reasons you probably do need to watch it again. But here's that plot.
Engage.
Traveling salesman slash inventor Randall Pets. Blah, blah. I'm gonna do take two on that. Peltzer. Traveling salesman slash inventor Randall Peltzer buys his son Billy a strange creature called a mogwai from a back alley Chinatown shop. The rules are simple: keep it away from water, don't feed it after midnight, and it doesn't like bright lights. Sunlight will kill it. With the help of a very young Corey Feldman, they managed to break all of the rules as the Mogwai, now named Gizmo, spawns more Mogwai, who then evolve into mischievous gremlins. The gremlins begin to wreak havoc in the Peltzer house, and Billy and his mom manage to off all of them except for the gremlin leader, Stripe. Stripe manages to escape to a YMCA pool where he creates an army of gremlins that begin to tear apart the town. Billy and his new girlfriend, Christmas scarred Kate, take out this crop of gremlins as they have all decided to attend a screening of Snow White, and you just have to burn the theater down. With the movie theater ablaze, Stripe again escapes and tries to respawn in a department store fountain. But Billy, Kate, and Gizmo manage to burn the sucker up with the first rays of morning light. The Chinatown merchant then reappears at the Pelter house to reclaim Gizmo because honkies aren't ready for this shit. Well, he does. He does just like he's like your Western civilization. It blows. Goodbye.
Yeah, which is like China had been civilized, as we would use the word, way longer than the West, so it doesn't really work. I'm always surprised how late into the 80s, well, just how late even into the 80s, that kind of Eastern mysticism was just fine in films.
Oh yeah, we got Big Trouble in Little China, fantastic film. It does have a weird feel. Well, it always has
the Golden Child. Remember the Golden Child?
Oh God, okay, yeah, that one. And then
I guess even Mr. Miyagi, like
yeah,
basically karate gives him superpowers.
Yeah, they call it the Magic Asian.
Yeah,
which is the there's also the
Magical Negro.
Yeah.
We talked about that in the last time we talked about Joe Dante when we did our Twilight Zone movie.
Oh,
well, not actually our last Joe Dante, because we did do Small Soldiers after that.
That was Spielberg's bit of the movie, though. Although Spielberg is executive producer Gremlins and is in a recumbent bike and a cameo at some point.
Well, also, I feel like Twilight Zone's going to come up a lot with the Gremlin connection and the Joe Dante collection. But he didn't do the Gremlin one either, did he? He did the Weird Little Kid one.
That's right, yeah. But it's all kind of baked in, right? This is definitely the turning point where the term gremlin meant like mischievous green creature as opposed to
that's
in an ape costume on a wing.
Well, I was also going to bring up, because you say gremlin to someone now, they just think of the creature, right? They think of a little goblin thing. But in this film, gremlin still meant it sneaks in and messes with your machinery at night. So I always forget when I watch it that this film does actually lean into that being what a gremlin is. Because
that's
the film has accidentally rewritten what a gremlin is, because people don't even think about that aspect anymore. They just think like, oh yeah, it's the horrible little green monsters.
Yeah, they did a great movie called Shadow in the Cloud. I don't know if any of you have seen that, but that was with Chloe Grace Moretz a couple of years ago, where she's a pilot and there's a gremlin in the plane, and the entire movie pretty much takes place with her being trapped as a pilot inside the plane.
Do you see the gremlin much in that?
Yeah, I think she might be in the Gunner's Ball, actually.
Okay.
But still, yeah, it's a really cool science fiction horror.
That actually does sound, because I was watching this thinking like, how would I do the concept of gremlins if I wanted to take it seriously? And basically I thought you wouldn't see the gremlin much, right?
Yeah, I mean that's the way the movie is pretty much, yeah. It's a good one.
Yeah, well, you do like Alien or something. And your alien is basically a gremlin when you get right down to it.
Yeah, but it doesn't really mess with the ship. It just murders people.
It burns some acid through the steel plates and stuff. I don't know. This is one where like all the cast, I think we don't really have anyone bigger than B-list in this cast, but maybe because I saw it so much or read the comic or the storybook plus vinyl so many times as a kid, they're all like kind of like ingrained in my head. Like we started off with Hoyt Axon as dad, and he's more of a country singer than an actor. But when I see him in this film, it's like, oh yeah, there's that guy.
One thing I really like about his character, even if it's not the actor, so you often get this character, right, who's like struggling inventor trying to provide for his family. And usually none of the other cast respect that character. But I really like that he actually has a really loving wife and son who are like, yeah, we like our dad and his silly inventions. One day it'll work out. Yeah.
It doesn't work.
I just thought that was a really nice characterization compared to what you would usually see in that kind of role.
So
yeah, it's very endearing.
If I had taken a bathroom buddy instead of a comic book to the toilet, would that have been cooler?
I mean, I
don't know.
What would you do with the bathroom buddy while you're on the toilet?
Really? Yeah.
Also, no, I think that would be super lame.
Okay. Okay,
Like
bathroom.
it's like if imagine if every time you went to the bathroom, everyone saw you taking in like some wet wipes and an extra soap. They're like, man, that guy's doing some messy stuff in that bathroom. If he's taking extra cleaning equipment every time.
He took the fleshlight and left the bathroom, buddy.
slip and
Oh
slide.
no! By the year 2022, the Bathroom Buddy 6, whatever on, probably does include a fleshlight.
It must.
Oh, that yeah. So who else is in this movie? That I was about to say because Phoebe Cates is here, and she almost didn't get the role because she was known for I guess smutting around in Fast Times at Ridgemont High and such. So they're like, oh, we need someone more wholesome, but she's fine. She's good here.
I think it makes sense to have someone slightly less wholesome anyway.
Yeah, it is. It is a horror comedy. With
Oh, I noticed in the credits that there was someone with the surname Luke, and it turns out it's the Chinese shopkeeper.
Hey, Luke.
yeah. Apparently he was old, but he didn't look old, so they still had to put age makeup on him, even though he was already old. He was just...
Yeah, well, me and you know how difficult it is to guess Asian people's ages, so.
Yeah, it's just funny that they did cast an older man, and then they had to make him look older because he made him he did retained his complexion relatively well. Oh, voices, Luke. I'm sure you had a look at the voice cast here, but
I'm guessing our good friend Megatron is in there.
yeah, he does Stripes. He does all of Stripes noises.
Megatron. He's got a name.
And then, I know it's Frank Welker, but he'll always be Megatron to me.
And Peter Cullen does some of the ancillary.
Oh, sick!
Gremlins. Yeah, he's.
Oh, well, that's doubly interesting because they would have only just been starting to do Transformers when they were doing this.
Yeah, so they're both
Cool.
here, and then Howie Mandel does is the voice of Gizmo. Where I'm like, for all of these, okay, Frank Welker already well known now for just basically doing like animal noises half the time, so makes sense. Howie Mandel, it's like, yeah, I did the voice of Gizmo. It's like Gizmo says like 2 words in this movie, and makes and does that cooing song.
Yeah, I was gonna say she probably had to do noises throughout though.
Also, what's the Police Academy guy? He's here. Michael Winslow's Family Matters, isn't it? Who's the
No, Michael Winslow's. You're thinking the right guy.
Oh, okay. He's here, which also makes perfect sense in 1984. So,
well, I wanted to mention the science teachers played by Glynn Turman, who did a lot of really good blaxploitation movies, including Cooley High and the great JD's Revenge. He was the star of JD's Revenge. It was an amazing performance. But he was in some other really good things too. There was one called Deep Cover. I don't know if you remember that one with Lawrence Fishburne and Jeff Goldblum. He was also in the one called The Inkwell. That's basically the Black Dazed and Confused. But Turman, of course, is the black guy dies first. Unfortunately, also the only black guy in the movie, I think.
Yeah, I've actually heard we were talking about how maybe this film has sort of that weird vision of China. I've also heard people say like this and well, more like I read it on Wiki with this and Little Shop of Horrors being kind of like unintentionally racist.
Oh God, yeah. Oh God, yeah. There's a lot. Yeah, if you want to look up Gremlins racist, yeah. I mean, the whole point of it is like the one xenophobic guy is actually right. You know, Dick Miller's character. He's like talking about foreign things and how shitty they are in the whole movie, and then finally the foreign thing actually kills a lot of people.
The other cast member who I noticed, he's a really minor role, the deputy sheriff who's like drunk. He's Mike from Breaking Bad, who is like the polar opposite of this character. He's like the ultimate serious tough guy 30 odd years later.
Yeah, there's so many weird bit parts here. Judge Reinhold shows up just for a bit, and apparently a lot of him is on the cutting room floor. He's one of Billy's bosses, the really condescending
okay,
one. Yeah, and I guess he was going to be in it more and maybe get eaten by a gremlin or something. But I'm just assuming that would have happened.
Isn't Chuck Jones in this? We mentioned Spielberg, but Chuck Jones, the animator?
He is, and apparently him and Dante really hit it off because when they do Gremlins 2, he does. That's like the last animation Chuck Jones personally made in Gremlins 2, where there's some Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck stuff.
Is that right? God, I haven't seen Gremlins 2 in a minute.
Same here.
Matt has always Matt's always said that we're only doing Gremlins so that we can eventually do Gremlins 2.
Yeah.
I mean, it was we got advanced passes to see Gremlins 2. We saw that. We got those at the mall, and we all went together. Am I right? You remember that?
I remember maybe I saw it twice. I remember seeing it at the dollar/porno theater near our house.
Oh, we saw it way before that. Okay, sorry. We'll save that for that. But yeah, okay. So I didn't know that about Chuck Jones, but I remember that he has some sort of cameo in this, and I never see him.
Yeah, he's in both of them as something, but he was basically consulting because Joe Dante. I mean, basically, I guess Joe Dante's ultimate dream is to be one of the Looney Tune characters.
Yes.
Which
Yes,
I can respect that. That's great.
Wait. So who's Chuck Jones in Gremlins? Not that I've seen it recently, but
Oh, you're gonna make me be the man to chair it.
I have got it open already, so let me see if I can see him.
Okay.
I'm just curious.
Oh, well, apparently his character's called Mr. Jones.
That
I think
makes
he's just
sense.
one of the fellas in the bank.
Oh yeah.
I think
So
so,
like
yeah.
a real cameo, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, just like blinking you miss it sort of thing. But he wanted to be involved because there is a lot of Looney Tune energy to the Gremlins, which we will see a lot more of in the second one. But
Okay. Yeah, God, I do remember it was bonkers, but the effects were better.
and of course this is the beginning of the Corey Feldman explosion. Um
Yeah, I was looking at him thinking he was the kid from Small Soldiers, but I think he is.
Oh no. I can. Have you seen any of his recent music videos, Corey Feldman's?
No.
Those are amazing. He tries to do a different genre like every time, and like does it as it's bizarre.
I saw Splatter, which was the horror movie that he made.
Yeah, how was that?
Yeah.
But he's
I
kind
have
of
no
weird.
memory.
He's like the child, like he's the former child star that is just he's still like ancillary in the public consciousness. He's like Charlie Sheen, like light or something these
Yeah,
days.
okay.
He's obsessed with conspiracy theories about Hollywood, and also still tries to dress like Michael Jackson. Bad era. He still tours. He's played the Star Bar a few times here in Georgia.
So maybe the UK doesn't have Feldman fever. I don't know, or didn't have
But
it.
in his defense, there is a lot of messed up stuff in Hollywood.
Oh yeah.
Oh no, I'm sure he's right. I'm sure he's right. You know, I'm just saying.
Being right doesn't mean he's not crazy.
He made a documentary and it came out rather obsessive, and I think to its detriment. Like I don't think he's helping his case.
I see.
Now, something watching this now, I wouldn't have noticed it watching as a kid, but Billy's an 18-year-old teller whose dad is buying him Christmas presents like he's 10. His best friend is a 10-year-old, and when he has this weird scientific thing, he goes to the elementary school science teacher.
I think you're misjudging Billy's age a little bit. I think he's like the young friend.
Oh, okay.
Is Pete the kid or Billy the kid?
Billy is our main character.
Yeah. So I think Pete is a little bit older. He's like and I think Billy has left school, but yeah, he just went back to see his teacher because he's the only scientist he knows.
But it's the
So
elementary.
I think it's is it elementary school? Is that explicit?
Yeah, they're the kids. They're watching like a film strip or something about about animal hearts. That also bothered me when I was a kid. I don't like really.
Kids at secondary school watch film strips about animal hearts. Do they? I don't know why I'm arguing with you. It is weird that he's this close to this little kid.
I'm
I
just
think that's
wondering
all he wanted. I think that's all Matt was that we can.
But
agree.
I don't know if he's like his best friend or just that he delivered the tree and he knows this is a guy who has comic books, so he came in and looked.
that
Yeah.
could be part of it. But I just like watching it this time. I was like, I really feel like probably into a late draft of this, Billy was
would have
like
been
12
younger?
years old. Yeah, like he would have been Small Soldiers age, you know?
Right.
And then somewhere in the later drafts, maybe because they wanted to get, sitcom star Judge Reinhold in, they did that. And somewhere along the way kind of realized that didn't work. And there's this weird, like, I feel like we're having like several drafts of the script at like conflict with each other in the
But I
final
think
script.
it kind of works because he ends up realistically feeling like someone who's at that age where you're not quite done being a kid and not quite ready to be an adult yet.
Mm.
Like, I knew a lot of people. If I was one of these people who was just still in my hometown around late teens, early 20s. And like, yeah, I guess I've got a job in my own apartment, but I don't really feel like an adult. Like I'm still spending most of my paycheck on Transformers.
Well, the big joke about 80s movies and really beyond is that they cast these older people to play these young people, but it's because the reason why is that if they showed like age appropriate actors in the kind of violent peril that these people often find themselves in, it would not be it would not be entertaining. It'd be horrifying.
But I think the other thing is if they showed age appropriate actors being as horny as teenagers actually are,
Yes.
they'd get in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, remember that movie Kids where they actually cast like 15, 16-year-olds playing 15, 16-year-olds and people were like, eh. Dude,
yeah.
what were you like when you were 15? I don't know about them, but I was pretty much almost exactly like that. Minus the drugs and the drinking, yeah.
Oh, well,
So
I
Gremlins.
was doing the drinking because I grew up in the UK.
Right.
They give it to you at school.
White milk, chocolate milk, or beer?
Is
I
that
did
accurate?
drink. I did drink with my politics teachers in the last year of high school. So
Yeah.
I was 18, but yeah, on Independence Day, we
God.
had apple pies, and then I brought in vodka, and we did vodka and cranberry juice with our teacher.
I remember one of my history teacher came to see our band play, and he missed the band because he was like smoking weed in his car. He's like, "Hey, did I miss it?" We're like, "Man, we're getting A's the rest of this year."
Was that our band? That wouldn't have been a good stoner band.
He's the history teacher that gave me Dead Kennedys and Black Flag records and stuff.
Okay, maybe that was his high. I don't know. I'm just feeling if you're that chill, you don't want to hear like.
Speaking of adults who are weirdly friends with kids.
Exactly. Like, what is this? I don't think he was that far from college. You know what I'm saying? Like community college, teacher certificate right out of high school kind of guy. Yeah, this has a lot to do with Gremlins. I think we've established that. Yeah, that's why this. I think Gremlins didn't it even start out as being a horror and not for kids as far as more while we're talking script versions are
I
concerned.
think it was always supposed to be somewhat dark comedy, but it was more like Dead Alive dark comedy, where you're having Billy's mother's head getting tossed down the staircase after being separated from her body.
Wow.
So
they did keep the decapitation. It just became a gremlin decapitation.
Yeah. And I mean, even this version, we still get the was it the bitter old lady that ends up flying out of her window. So
yeah,
but that's hilarious.
Oh,
that's
it's hilarious, of course, but it's still, gruesome when you think about it.
It would have been funnier if her head went first and then the body.
But yeah. This was a even darker movie. So I guess they found the right balance at the end because they did create the PG-13 rating along with this and Temple of Doom, but yeah.
Yeah, also saw that one.
Yeah, so because that of course has the heart getting ripped out. Gremlins has enough that you're like, yeah, it's not a PG movie. It makes sense. So
no, it turns from a comedy into a pretty much like end-to-end horror. I mean, I remember at a certain point the tone just doesn't back off.
I think that's the difference with Gremlins 2 is even once all the Gremlin stuff is happening, it stays funnier.
Yeah, I don't think with Gremlins, I think that's what did it for me as a kid. It's just it started out fine, but then when it began to get really gruesome and violent, it didn't. I think it lost the comedic balance there. It just becomes a horror movie at a certain
You
point.
still get like Gizmo has his little hero moment driving the car, and when you see the Gremlins hanging out, they are like singing to songs and stuff. But yeah, it's much less playful in the latter parts.
They do have
I've mentioned
Christmas carolers.
I've mentioned a lot of times.
The ultimate horror Christmas carolers.
That's when they cut the head off. I've mentioned a lot of times the special effects in the 80s. They had this boom of special effects that coincidentally also happened alongside the boom of cocaine use. And you can't tell me that scene of the theater where there's like a couple dozen gremlins there that no one used cocaine in order to keep operating those puppets through that shoot.
Yeah, I was just listening to another podcast about The Night Before Christmas where they're talking about how stop motion guys, now they're the heavy stoners. You get blazed in the morning and spend 12 hours slowly moving
Well,
things.
how else could
It's
you
like
do it?
it's like heaven for them, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, no, you don't want somebody uncaffeinated doing that.
Well, Del Toro's stop motion Pinocchio has just come out. I wonder how stoned he was.
He said it took 15 years all total to make that
Wow.
movie, which it's brilliant. I'll say it's one of the best stop motion I've ever seen. The stop
Oh, yeah, I
motion in
think it might be
Gremlins,
you I mostly heard about it from on
yeah, the stop
Facebook.
motion in Gremlins, I think there's one. I mean, I like the way that they speed up the puppetry, like
Hmm.
performance wise, that sometimes works for puppets where you shoot it at a lower frame rate and then speed it up. So it's actually that's why the Levi Stubbs, the Audrey 2 in during the musical number, and speaking of racist and unintentionally racist movies, Little Shop of Horrors looks so great. It's because they actually crank that down. And so it
Ah.
moves it more lifelike. But yeah, there's a scene where the gremlins are running down the street in a big group.
Hmm.
It doesn't look good in Gremlins, not at all. I don't know how they did it. It might not have been stop motion.
For the most part, though,
Yeah.
it's a absolute masterclass in just wonderful little puppets and animatronics.
Oh, yeah, it's Chris Walas who later did The Fly. And I think the
Okay.
meltdown scene in of that I did I call him Spike or Stripe? I meant to say Stripe.
I
I think
get
you've
confused
used
all the
both
time.
alternating.
Okay,
So
when he gets all gooey and stuff, it's very
yeah.
reminiscent of what he would later do in The Fly when the fly comes out of the pod the second time and is just a lump of jiggly goo. I think they're very reminiscent of one another.
See, I just keep thinking with that shot of the ending of the original Evil Dead where they have the weird stop motion, gooey stuff.
Yeah, the Tom Sullivan with the it's the white eyes, and the yellow puke.
Yeah, that kind of
It's
stuff.
just not what goes in a family. I mean, it's horror. It's horrifying. Yeah, as a kid, I was just like, and the music that plays, it sounds like Evil Dead music. Like it really does.
I guess these are
It's
while we're
wild that this and Ghostbusters came out on the same day. These two just like 80s puppets,
Supernatural comedy.
monster, supernatural comedy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wouldn't see that now.
something in the air that night, Phil Collins style. It was the 80s.
Well, these
Um,
days it would be you'd get 3 different movies about little CGI characters in the same weekend, and they'd have none of the charm.
they just wouldn't be gooey though.
Trolls,
That's the
Smurfs, and
problem.
Alvin and the Chipmunks coming out on the same day.
Oh, geez. Yeah, that does sound like super plausible.
No goo in those
Yes.
movies though. Oh, gooey
Mm.
sacks too. I mean, I think these beat the alien sacks because they're like not symmetrical or anything.
Yeah, not quite. The alien ones had a sort of a translucence to them where you could sort of see something
Mm.
moving around inside.
These just look like piles of alien dung.
They look like something I would find when I was out hiking and not want to touch.
Right,
Well, you'd end up
right.
with a gremlin if you did.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to that end, I feel, Joe Dante's influence from 50s horror, science fiction. He also shows, what is it? Kevin McCarthy is on the TV from the original Body Snatchers
Oh,
that
right,
he's
right.
watching.
Yeah. Um, Luke, we got to give you your monster corner. I mean, this has proper monsters. How do you rate these in Monsterland?
Um, they're they're quite analogous to like a Pokemon or a Digimon because you have a cute one and then it turns into the horrible monster, which is more useful, but you kind of wish you had the cute one back.
No, because when I
I
was
think,
typing, I did put like evolution. I was like, oh, that's what
yeah,
Pokemon do when I was making my
yeah, yeah, yeah.
summary.
Yeah, I think
Well,
I
yeah,
really, really liked Gizmo as a kid.
I had the toy.
I bet
I
I
had
would
Had
have
it
two.
all.
seen this around about the same time Furbies got big. So I bet that's why I wanted a Furby so bad. It's because it was the closest I could get to a real Gizmo.
Yeah,
I,
so Andrew and I both had the gizmos. I am pretty sure we both had Burger King glasses as well.
Oh, the Burger King. Yeah, I've got the record here somewhere. I've got one of them. It might be even be a Christmas one, but if I find it, I'll take a picture. It's in with my Super 8 movies and stuff.
Yeah, that could be the one that I think I got the most exposure to this from as a kid, because as I said, it's that or the comic or both. Because I did really like this as a kid. So
Not me. I gotta say, even as a kid and as a grown up, I've no. Well, my favorite scene in Gremlins is the Phoebe Cates telling that story. It's
Oh
hilarious.
yeah.
but that's
Well,
kind of
That's
the
brilliant, that scene. I love it.
it's also so rare that a film about Christmas acknowledges like the darker side of the holidays. It's a
That
reason that I think Lethal Weapon is a mega underrated Christmas movie.
yeah.
Yeah, I prefer Lethal Weapon to Die Hard, certainly, for that
It's
reason.
more
Apparently,
it's more Christmassy if you think about it.
No, it is. It absolutely is. But it's also much darker.
the
Mm.
studio did request that scene be taken out. In the same set of notes that I guess don't have Billy's mom's head bounce down the stairs. They're like, take that scene out, and Dante like was very strong about refusing to take that out because he's like, that is exactly the balance of this movie, which might be why it's, at least for adults, the most memorable scene.
Oh my
For
God.
kids, it's going to be a more gremlin-y scene, I think. But
Yeah, I just think that that whole bit, it's not necessarily amazing to me that they left it in. It's amazing to me that they would write that because the
Yeah.
rest of the movie isn't really like that. That scene has a real pathos to it. In fact, if I'm going to revisit Gremlins, I just go to YouTube and look at that scene because context is not necessary. It's just brilliant to me. I mean, it's hilarious because it's so over the top. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
but yeah, that in the mind of the director of the movie, I guess that also was like kind of the pivotal scene. So
yeah. Well, it's. I mean, I think it's a better movie than The Howling. I've recently seen The Howling right after American Werewolf in London at Drive-In, and The Howling is just to me. I mean, we'll talk about uneven. I don't think the humor comes through. I think he much more had a handle of it on Gremlins.
now, are
I
you on the
guess when you
page?
eventually get to Small Soldiers, that's him making the film the studio wanted, where it is much more kid friendly.
I love
And like
Smalls.
they're animatronic, they're like robots, so it doesn't have any gore or anything.
Yeah, I think that's
Oh
a
yeah,
great.
I adore Small Soldiers, but I also was 8 when it came out. So
I feel like the best Dante balance probably is the Burbs.
Oh yeah, without a doubt, The Burbs is a masterpiece.
Yeah.
it's the most Matt sentence I've ever heard. The best Dante balance is the Burbs.
Well, if I'm gonna watch a Joe Dante movie, that's gonna be the one.
Luke, have you seen that one?
No,
Okay,
I
well,
I will eventually probably watch it for you, but
hey, I think that could fit into this podcast. We'll do it sometime for this one. That's a good one.
Yeah, and in terms of and I don't mind when humor's like off-putting. I've seen enough like South Korean movies to where that's not gonna throw me when the tone abruptly shifts. But yeah, the Burbs maintains a sinister kind of really dark thing, and but the humor isn't like to offset that; it's to complement that.
a brief tangent, but have you seen Save the Green Planet?
Yes,
I love that film.
that's a oh
Absolutely
man,
wild.
oh my God. In fact, I want to see if that's streaming anywhere. I'm gonna put that on after this. I haven't. That's a brilliant, brilliant movie.
All right, shortlist that, Matt, and we'll call Andrew up in a month or two to talk about that one.
Oh my gosh.
It's not the first time it's come up on this podcast,
No,
but
it's one of the films that I got out from the video store with absolutely no idea what it was, and it blew my tiny little like 15-year-old mind.
Yeah, it's not. Oh no, it's on Canopy, which is for colleges and stuff.
Huh.
So, oh, well, they need to buy. Yeah, I don't have that one, but God, that was back when I was a blogger. I got a screener of it. It must have been
Oh
a
wow,
Lionsgate did the US release or something. But that's a great one. I
yeah.
bet you I haven't seen it in 10
I
years.
literally, yeah, I haven't seen it since I got it out from Blockbuster back in the
Yeah,
day.
this would have
So
been the early 2000s.
I
yeah,
think we had that on the mind before, but couldn't track it down or something. So maybe
I
we'll
wouldn't doubt
we
it.
would definitely be watching that one through the seven seas, if you know what I mean. But
I think even that route didn't yield any results. But oh, I just had to throw in the note here that I had to write several times, call Mr. Plow because that's his name. That name again is Mr. Plow. Because we have a Mr. Plow in this movie, and it's the only other place I can think with a prominent plowsman.
Dick Miller,
Dick Miller plowsman.
who I've met in real life before he passed.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. It felt like he had moved on by now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but he was an old school corpsman. I mean, I asked him about Hollywood Boulevard. So that's probably my favorite of Joe Dante, Alan Arkush's stuff. It's it can hardly be considered an actual feature, because it's just really like cut and paste of a lot of other Corman movies. But Candace Rylson's the star, and Mary Warnoff's in it. I love it.
This is one of the few Dick Miller performances where he's not like likable.
No, he's
And
super
even here,
racist.
Yeah, because he's
Super
usually
racist.
like the like lovable older bloke that they know. Here, it's just
No.
the only thing he ever says is complaining about foreigners and foreign imports.
Everything.
We just kind of
Absolutely
a
everything.
scoundrel here. Yeah.
Yeah, but not even like a lovable scamp kind of a scoundrel, just like a horrible piece of work.
But that's what I'm saying. The movie totally redeems him,
Yeah, by accidentally the villain is correct in this film.
Yeah, no, it's like, whoa, what was the point of this again? Like-
I'm have a few random observations of things I spotted in this movie. The little Donkey Kong game. I didn't have that. I had the Popeye one. Andrew, did you come across the little tiny cabinet, lo-fi Donkey Kong game?
I don't remember that. I mean, it's been a while since I've seen it.
Fun fact: Donkey Kong was created because Nintendo were making a Popeye game and couldn't get the license.
Oh, weird, because I had that size cabinet and it was
Yeah,
a Popeye game. So yeah.
Donkey Kong was a mega success, so then they had the bucks to buy the Popeye license. But yeah, like Mario, Donkey Kong, and Pauline, Miyamoto just had to make up at the last minute to replace Popeye, Pluto, and Olive.
Ah, okay.
Wild.
Yeah. So I just remember loving that little cabinet, and my parents were trying to drag me off to church, but I was busy with Popeye, so go away.
Oh God, yeah, no, Popeye's much better.
This I guess this is another more financial question, but did I note an out of focus Fangoria in the background?
Oh no, there's totally an issue of Fangoria. Horror movie magazine.
Okay.
Yeah. If it wasn't clear enough what genre the Gremlins falls into, I appreciate that it's considered but why would they put out a Christmas movie in what was it, summer?
June.
Yeah.
Same as Ghostbusters.
What the
Iron Man 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
There's
guess
a
so.
more
Huh?
recent one. Sometimes some people like Christmas,
But yes, Fangoria was one of my gateway things. I would get them and read them and look at the pictures, but be too chicken to watch the movies. God, now an issue of Fangoria is $19.99, I think.
What?
Jesus.
Yeah, they want like $20 for a printed. It was nuts, whatever it was.
I thought it was bad when I went back to the UK and magazines are a $5 now.
I mean, this yeah, I don't know.
Did I spot Howard the Duck in here too? Okay, maybe not. When I was watching, I thought I saw a quick Howard the Duck somewhere in the
I
department
mean, you might
store.
well have done.
Yeah. Because
I mean, unless you're the type of person that just sees Howard the Duck just.
I was going to say, whether or not he was in the movie doesn't answer the question of whether Matt saw Howard the Duck.
That's a legit question. I might have just seen Howard the Duck, but it wasn't really Howard the Duck. I just wanted to. So
you see the Howard the Duck that's inside yourself.
Ah, yes. Look inside yourself and you'll find Howard the Duck. Okay, that's cool.
The real Howard the Duck was the friends we made along the way.
You've sat on him.
Are there any major points anyone wants to hit on this one? Like that we didn't already hit? We did some makeup, we did some effects. We got the Christmas story and got to do that.
Yeah.
So how is this one holding up now then? I guess is the big question.
Well, Luke, how long had it been since you'd seen it?
I think it maybe in 5 or 6 years. I
Okay,
Okay.
that's
watched it
not
at
too
least
long.
once with a girlfriend back in the UK. It
Uh,
definitely, it still entertained me. I could still sit and watch it, no probs. Um, Maybe the thing that's changed is you were saying when it came out, it was like, oh yeah, this is the film that invented PG-13. Whereas I feel like now it's it's not that outrageous compared to what kids could watch. But maybe that's just because the regular PG doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, you
I
still
would.
wouldn't rate this
You
PG
have
anymore.
or you have the PG-13 12A, but who's making films that are PG? What's the point? You want to get the
Well,
broadest possible audience, which is the PG-13.
well, it's well, if we're talking in terms of family movies, PG's the sweet spot, and it's kind of always going to be. But I would definitely rate Gremlins PG-13 with a toe in R without question. I mean, I have my kid is 9, and I would sooner let them watch Lethal Weapon.
Wow.
Yeah, or
Yeah, I guess
Predator.
maybe what it is there's not a lot of or like human death on screen.
Uh,
So
I mean,
seeing
there's a
but
fair amount.
they're quite comical slapstick moments.
Yeah, I think it's
The real
more of
gory stuff happens to go to the Gremlins.
it's true. I think it's just that juxtaposition between the cute furry creature that seems like it
Mm.
would be something more family oriented, and then it turns into a horror. And I believe originally the Gizmo was going to become Stripe, and that was the arc of it. And
Yeah, that's what I was
that
going to say. I think I would agree with you more if you didn't keep Gizmo all the way through.
yeah, so I don't know. I just maybe it's what, honestly, it's probably my childhood memories of it. Like
Mm.
I do
Mhm.
not want to see Grimm. I didn't rewatch it for this, and I don't see myself like busting it out and watching it again. I think I bought it just to hear the commentary track. And yeah, it's just not I'm not a
Yeah,
big
I
80s
saw
movie
it
person.
post desensitization, so it did nothing to
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, no, I have there's a lot of 80s movies that I've only recently saw. Like I saw Goonies for the first time like 2, 3 years ago. I saw Raiders of the Lost Ark first time this summer. So I I'm not my 80s was very different from everyone else's in terms of movies. Definitely.
Yeah, I
When
Probably
don't
I
know.
saw
Blue
this,
Velvet way more time.
I'd already seen Schwarzenegger punch a hole in a man. So
Yeah, see, I saw Blue Velvet before I saw Karate Kid.
This probably is one of the first like kind of gorier, scarier films I saw though, and it this one did not bug me that much as a kid, and I'm not sure why. I think again the stripe melting thing at the end, I could definitely be like, oh yeah, that's disturbing, but yeah, this one didn't really. As I said, I ran out of Ghostbusters. I didn't run out of Gremlins, so I
I
don't get
think
it.
the spike melting thing is grosser than when the guy gets hit by the car and explodes in RoboCop. I mean, it's more prolonged. The camera stays on. If you think the guy is in a goofy melted guy costume and then he's hit and he just that's it. But you have with Spike Stripe, it's very drawn out.
maybe maybe you've just got more empathy for little green goblins than I do.
Maybe I do. What are they supposed to represent?
You're a goblin man.
Foreigners, kill them all.
I mean, let's. I mean, if we're to follow the what I think is kind of the meaning of this movie, intentional or not.
um,
Gremlins by American.
That's right.
I
What does he say? We
see.
should have got a. He's complaining, and should have got a Zenith. That's what he says.
See, I was trying to like look at it from the Gremlins point of view this viewing, right? Because I'm like, well, Billy's mom does do like in the Twilight Zone, the invaders. Billy's mom instigates the violence. I mean, they put on the creepy Christmas music and all that, but
They also
um,
attack the dog and Gizmo.
That's true. They don't
yeah,
kill
yeah.
the dog. We should mention that the dog does not die. And after she stabs the one gremlin, I can remember also you see it in the background, like writhing in pain as the other one's in the.
And then Stripe. I mean, all of his brothers have been killed like twice, so of course he's pissed.
I think the guys like Joe Dante were a lot like my dad in that they thought it was hilarious to freak the ever living shit out of little kids.
Yeah, well, That's another thing. I come from the UK where it's a grand old tradition to show your kids Doctor Who every Saturday and scare them. So
That explains a lot.
yeah.
I suppose we'll wrap things up. So, Andrew, tell us about your online Christmas. What's online for your Christmas?
Oh, well, let's see. We'll talk about Gonzoriffic,
Sure.
Gonzoriffic. We do have, for your viewing pleasure, Jigsaw, which is available now on Blu-ray and DVD. And streaming, we've got Bad Girl Dracula, which is exclusively through Reverie, which is a queer LGBTQIA streaming movie service. And you can also watch other short films at Gonzoriffic's YouTube channel. And yeah, you can get all of that through there.
Rightio. Luke, you want to do our thing?
Yeah, if you've enjoyed this podcast, you can find it on Twitter at MLSFS Pod. We're also on Facebook, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all of those. Just search Matt and Luke Sci-Fi Sanctuary. If you want to support the podcast, you can go to patreon.com/podcastio and throw us $1 a month. And at that website, you'll find links to the other podcasts me and Matt create. There's Time Enough Podcast, a Twilight Zone podcast, which did its Christmas episode like 2 or 3 months ago. But, you know, you can re-download that and give it a listen. There's Luke Loves Pokemon, which I don't know if I'm doing anything Christmassy on that one just yet. But if you like hearing me talk about monsters, we're doing a lot of that at the moment. There's 2 episodes a week just now because there's new monsters out. There's Monster Mash, a podcast about Monster Hunter. We did a Christmas special where we gave our Christmas wish list for what we want to see in the next Monster Hunter game. And there's the Game Show, a game show about games, which Matt always describes as 4 British lads swearing at each other. And we've just recorded a Christmas episode last night featuring the long-awaited Andrew Rice music round. So, yeah,
Does
there's
he
plenty of
sing?
Christmas action. Oh yeah, he
Okay.
sings.
He sings for us. That's good.
Well,
to
that's
know.
it. Andy is known for singing whenever we play games, but he's the last person to do a music round on that podcast. So,
Rightio. Okay. So,
and remember, this holiday season, don't buy any of that foreign crap.
I don't know what that means. I live in Japan.
I was gonna say, don't buy my stuff or don't buy Matt's stuff. I mean, what are we talking about
What
here?
does Ford even mean?
There's 3 different nations we could meet here because you 2 are American, I'm British, and me and Matt live in Japan. So
That's right. What'd your notes say?
buy from one of those 3.
It's always
Don't you
midnight.
dare buy Chinese.
Don't-
No, I just didn't ask several days ago, have you ever been abroad? I'm just like, I don't know how to answer that, man.
Yeah.
I'm kind of abroad now, so.
Say, no,
Oh, I thought
I've
you
never...
meant like a woman.
Yeah, that was the joke I was about to make.
Well, I did do the importance of being earnest once where he gender flipped all the roles, so sure.
Let me
That's
share
the American Cancer
one
Society.
final Nintendo factoid with you. When they first brought the Nintendo out in America, the guy was setting it up at the mall and security guard came over to offer to help him. So, oh, you're setting up the new Atari? And he's like, oh, no, actually, this is the Nintendo. And he's like, oh, fucking Japanese, Pearl Harbor, and refused to help him.
Whoa.
It must have been Dick Miller.
Yep.
Okay, I don't even know where I'm going to make the cut, but probably before I just said what I just said now. So
Yeah, it's fine.
No, it really wrapped up nicely. That was hilarious.
I will hit the recordo then.